find a beautiful metaphor about the tree of life growing beside an unpolluted river, pure as crystal, a river that purges all spiritually uninformed tendencies from human civilization. What a lovely, lovely idea. That biblical notion stands in dramatic contrast to the escalating number of Christian fundamentalists who see the material world as an evil that must suffer some kind of apocalyptic destruction to usher in the rapture. Likewise, there are human monists or Hindu monists, as well as some New Age persuasions that assign scant relevance to the material world, relating to it as an illusion to be denied and not trusted, or one that can be changed at will with the application of secret mental processes. And then there are people of faith in many Christian traditions who are absolutely convinced that the material aspect of God's creation is crucially significant and worthy of deep respect from all humanity. Remember, they say, he called the creation not only good, but very good. And from that, you may conclude it leaves all of us with an obligation to leave it that way. And I would trust that most of us fall into that last category, that we do indeed appreciate the incredible gift that this earth, this planet, presents to us. Few issues are more controversial today than the status of persons in relationship to the non-human world. Far too many seem to be laboring under the delusion that the only purpose of the non-human world is to serve humanity. Therefore, they conclude we can ravage and destroy species and ecological systems at will, as long as the activity results in what is called progress, also known as economic growth. Somewhere along the line, it might help us to remember that the cancer cell's commitment to growth, for the sake of growth alone, is what makes it so destructive to its host. A viable environment simply cannot survive another century of malignant thinking. At the other end of the belief that all non-human creation is here for the single purpose of serving humanity, we encounter a philosophy that refuses to acknowledge any distinction between the human and the non-human creation. It's an ideology that insists, whether you are talking about turkeys or turtles or tunas or turnips or Tilly or Ted, we are all equal, all the same, all part of the same vast web of life. Therefore, we Homo sapiens have no right to impose on any part of the creation for the resources we need to maintain basic existence. Point of view. Obviously, embracing that kind of extremist notion of harmlessness would soon bring all civilization to a screeching halt, leaving us with the conundrum, is there an alternative? Biblical instruction does offer another perspective. The Bible teaches that while the non-human creation has worth and significance, quite apart from its material usefulness to humanity, only humans were created in the image and likeness of God, with the self-awareness necessary to answer God's call to be enlightened stewards of Mother Nature's good garden. And let us not trivialize the significance of being entrusted to care for the creation, all of it, right down to the last dandelion. Let's remember that God don't make no junk. Let's remember that it's all good. It's all very good. There are no irrelevancies in the grand web of creation. Every atom of creation has its place in the cosmic scheme of things and is, therefore, more than worthy of our vigilant care and keeping. Anyone who thinks God created the non-human world merely for the benefit of persons has not read the Bible carefully. Remember Matthew 26th chapter, the 6th chapter. Matthew reminds us that God feeds the birds and clothes the simple grass, investments that not even Solomon could acquire with all of his wealth and stature. In the story of the flood, in Genesis, God makes a covenant, not just with Noah and his family, but also with the non-human creation. Behold, I establish my covenant with you and with every living creature that is with you, the birds, the cattle, and every beast of the earth. Now you'd think that knowing that every blade of grass and bird song out there is beloved of God would inspire us to treasure and protect every expression of creation that calls planet Earth its home. The independent worth of the non-human creation and humanity's interdependence with it does not, however, mean that we should forget another central biblical claim. Find that in Genesis 1. Makes it clear that human beings alone are created in the image and likeness of God. Therefore, we alone have been given a special dominion or stewardship over the care and keeping of the creation. If we continue to be so ambivalent toward recognizing the urgency of that invitation to service, civilization as we know it will be on the line. In Genesis 2, we discover that God put people in the garden to, as it's related in Scripture, to work it and take care of it. The word abad in the ancient Sanskrit, the word abad translated as work literally means to serve. The related noun in that scripture actually means slave or servant rather than person. So the word shamar in that same original, translated as take care of, suggests watchful care and preservation of the earth. So the bottom line of that scripture, we are to serve and watch lovingly over God's good garden, not rape it. That's the true meaning out of the original. The Mosaic Law offers explicit commands designed to prevent exploitation of the earth. Every 7th year, for instance, the Israelites' land was to lie fallow because it is revealed in Leviticus 25, the land is to have a year of rest. Every 7 years, you don't plant anything except grass, wheat. You don't harvest. You plow it back in. Created in the image, in the divine image, we alone have been placed in charge of the earth. At the same time, our dominion must be the gentle care of a loving gardener, not the callous exploitation of a profit-driven agribusiness mentality. So we should not carelessly or callously wipe out species in service to the bottom line. We should be vigilant not to waste an iota of the non-human resource we've been blessed with and charged to care for with due diligence and fierce commitment to preservation and conservation. Only a compassionate, conservative use of plants and animals by human beings is legitimate and biblically empowered. Biblical injunctions also provide a framework for dealing with the destructive rat race of unbridled consumption. The planet cannot sustain 8 billion people living the kind of ever-expanding lifestyle North Americans now demand. The Creator, who carved us out of the raw stuff of the universe, invites us to enjoy the rich bounty of our material world. But while we are enjoying our slice of the bountiful pie, remember how the Father applauds when we choose to make sure that our neighbors have some grits on their tables as well. It's critically important for us to acknowledge and remember that we are created in such a way that human wholeness and fulfillment requires a balanced diet of the material and the mystical. We are nourished not only by material things, but also through right relationship with that vast garden of humanity we are all blessed to know and love and serve.